thedailymass.com. Experience the Roman Catholic Mass from historic St. Louis Cathedral every day on thedailymass.com. His love, anywhere in the world.
I'm Sarah McDonald.
And I'm Jason Angela. Welcome to Issues in Faith.
And welcome back from our summer vacation. So nice to be back.
It's amazing how fast the summer goes.
That's right.
But it's a good time. A lot of great things happening.
You know, just this past summer, that's right. Right as we went on hiatus, as our nation was celebrating 4th of July, the country's birth, Pope Francis announced that he would be canonizing Pope John the 23rd and Pope John Paul II this year. So we're very much looking forward to those canonizations.
Yeah, it's a great time, you know, to church celebrate just two wonderful holy men who celebrated life in Christ and brought forth a beautiful message to the world. And for us to go back and kind of look at their life and to be able to kind of find out what were some of those things that these holy men have done for the church, for us, for their sacrifice, and be able to learn more about what they did.
That's right. And so many people are in some ways familiar and feel that John Paul II touched them directly because he was so recent. But many people are not familiar with John the 23rd and what he did and what he contributed to the church and why he's being canonized. And so I definitely encourage people to, of course, go back and read up on the life of Blessed John Paul II and become more familiar with him in a less secular way than it can be presented. It can be very presented in a secular way of what he did, but in his spiritual life and his example of love.
His writings, his love for Our Lady.
The scope, but to also go back and to read the writings of John the 23rd and to learn more about his life and his example for us, because they were both extraordinary leaders of our Catholic Church that we can look to for guidance. Especially in the world that we live in, the world that is becoming more secularized. Both of these men offer extraordinary examples.
And speaking of extraordinary examples, witnesses of the faith of coming to World Youth Day and seeing such a beautiful resurgence of the faith, it seems to...
It really does. You know, it was amazing. And to know that on that opening Mass for World Youth Day, 1 million people were there on the beach. By the closing Mass, 3 million people were there to celebrate the Eucharist. Over 3 million people. When in the world have 3 million people gathered together for one purpose, for anything? I mean, 3 million people. So just that is, I have actually, as I said, I got goosebumps. But, you know, and I think part of what was kind of disappointing for me was
that we weren't there?
Well, that we weren't there, yes, that we weren't there in Rio, but the lack of coverage of that in some of the mainstream media. I mean, again, when else have 3 million people gathered anywhere, let alone traveled from all over the world to be for one event, to be part of this extraordinary event started by Pope John Paul II, that was continued by Pope Benedict to now Pope Francis. But there was virtually no mainstream media coverage.
I mean, this is a huge event. People from all over the world are coming together, and it's just such a wonderful opportunity to evangelize the life, the youthfulness, the beauty, the mystery, and the power of God working in the church.
Yeah, and you saw in Pope Francis so many extraordinary examples of not just him celebrating the sacrifice of the Mass, but his words. And in his words, but in his actions, visiting the poor in the slums, visiting the hospital where he spoke to people who were recovering drug addicts, and you know, reaching out to those who were the most disenfranchised in society, just as we are called to do in our lives. And so, I think what is so beautiful about his example, Pope Francis' example, is that he doesn't try in any way, not that anyone else ever has, but he has an extraordinary gift of melding the two together and not separating out the social issues from faith and morals and spirituality and the celebration of the sacraments. He ties them all together beautifully in an extraordinary way that has called people back to the church and has also invigorated those who are currently working in ministry.
And praise God. And then the exciting news that next World Youth Day will be in Poland. That
in
amazing.
Krakow.
Yes.
That is very exciting. It came on the last day of World Youth Day, and Pope Francis announced that in 2 years we would be in Krakow celebrating that event. And those of you who are watching probably understand the significance of that. That was John Paul II's home. So it is. You see the tradition of our faith continuing and growing, and I think obviously it was extraordinary to be able to be in South America. It was definitely God's hand that Pope Francis got to go home to South America for this World Youth Day so soon after being named Pope. But very
similar to Pope Benedict XVI being called the World Youth Day when it was in Germany.
That's right.
And that was his homecoming, and then Pope Francis has his homecoming, and then going to Poland is kind of like a homecoming for the Church, being able to go there to celebrate not only World Youth Day, but also the pontificate of John Paul II, blessed now saint to be.
That's right. And I think it'll be very interesting to see how we can, for lack of a better phrase, ride the wave of resurgence.
Oh, yeah.
South America is obviously a place where the Catholic Church is growing. It is flourishing. To bring that growth, that enthusiasm back to Europe, I think that is something that we've been praying for as a church, to sort of break down some of those secular walls, and I'll encourage people to live their faith in the public forum more strongly, more faithfully.
It's a great point, because the secular world is really trying to cause us Catholics to take our faith and put it in the closet, keep it there for just an hour on Sundays, and it's not encouraging us at all in any way, shape, or form to live that faith Monday through Saturday, Sunday included, and be able to live the faith and to be able to allow the faith to challenge us and fall deeper in love with our Lord and Savior.
That's right, and that's what we've seen through the new evangelization. So we're seeing through World Youth Day and through our extraordinary example of our new Pope.
Praise God. Well, next week, the American Academy of Fertility Care and Practitioners is hosting a one-day seminar on the culture of life. Shannon Eaton of the Women's New Life Center joins Sarah for more.
And thanks so much, Shannon, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Sarah.
Well, first of all, I want to start with your role with the Women's New Life Center. Tell us a little bit about the Women's New Life Center and what you do there.
Okay, the Women's New Life Center is a professional counseling center and medical clinic for women in crisis pregnancy. I am a nurse there. I do pregnancy tests, and we do a little mini medical history, and I do sonograms, limited obstetrical sonograms. We have Hope Fertility Care Center at the Women's New Life Center, which is a ministry of the Women's New Life Center. At Hope Fertility Care Center, we teach the Creighton Model Fertility Care System. And I am a practitioner at Hope Fertility Care Center, so I teach women and couples to track their cycles, and they can use that information accordingly to either achieve a pregnancy or avoid a pregnancy, or it can also be used to obtain medical treatment through NAPRA technology.
Well, that leads us very well into what we're actually here to discuss tonight, which is an upcoming conference. It'll actually be held next week. Tell us a little bit about what's going on, about the conference and what will be going on.
Okay. The American Academy of Fertility Care Professionals, the AAFCP, is the certifying agency for Creighton Model. They were formed to promote and hold quality standards for Creighton Model and NAPRA technology, and we do have an annual conference every year. We took on the task of hosting a couple years ago here in New Orleans, and that conference is coming up next week. It's August 7th through 10th at the Hotel Montleone downtown.
So even if you want to come to the conference, just hang out at the Montleone. That's a fun hotel to bring people in from out of town.
It is. It's a great hotel. It's historical and it's a beautiful property. It is.
So who is the conference for? I understand you as a medical professional would be attending the conference. Who else would be interested in attending?
Mostly it's going to be practitioners and medical consultants who are already involved with the Creighton Model Fertility Care System and NAPRA technology. However, this year we added anyone can attend. Even there are some people who teach other methods of natural family planning. They would very well be interested in it. Anyone can register. It's mostly going to be medical professionals. We did add this year, prior to that we added a one-day seminar on Saturday, August 10th entitled The Culture of Life in Medical Practice. It's a one-day seminar for any medical professionals who are interested in seeing what a pro-life medical practice is all about.
And that is something that is discussed a lot, but it's very difficult to have an OBGYN, an entirely pro-life OBGYN practice just because of the culture that we're living in. And we had Angie Thomas, who's director of Women's New Life Center, on about a year ago with a medical student who was looking into OBGYN as her practice, and she said they don't even teach it in medical school. So it's something that we really need to introduce into the medical profession.
We do. From the testimony of a physician I read who practiced conventional OBGYN medicine for years and years, and then found NAPR technology and switched his practice to a fully pro-life practice, his statement was that in medical school, you're taught that the birth control pill is a panacea for everything. And there are other options. There are, now I have women bringing their teenage daughters to me because they're having pain or really bad periods, and they don't want them on the pill. So there is an answer to that. There are answers. There is another way, and NAPR technology is one of those ways. It's been around for quite some time. Sometimes it's backed by research, and you could very well have a very successful practice using this technique.
Well, and last week, nationally, we observed Natural Family Planning Awareness Week through the USCCB, and it was funny reading some of the comments that came back, and my favorite, which I would like to say that somebody who I worked with at Women's Life Center originated this, but it's organic family planning.
It is.
It's organic family planning, and we put that up on Facebook and social media, and it went to lots of different places just by using that hashtag organic. It got picked up. I'm like, this is the way we can spread the good news beyond those who are already wanting to know and wanting to be interested.
Right. And methods today are not what they used to be. They're all scientifically researched and backed by science, and they're all very effective. They're all 95 to 99% effective.
And so back to the conference,
okay.
We want to, we talked about this culture of life in medicine and medical practice, the conference itself, but you also have scholarship opportunities for those who might be interested.
We do. We have student scholarships available for that day. They cover the entire registration fee and a lunch as long as we get the registration by Friday. We have to give them. Yes. After that, we can still take registrations and give out scholarships, but they will not be guaranteed a meal just because we have to have those numbers in. But we start with an introduction in NAPR technology with Dr. Hilders. Dr. Stanford will be speaking. He does most of the, a large percentage of the research for natural fertility awareness. We'll have John Brahani from the Catholic Medical Association and Michael O'Day from Christus Medicus speaking on different aspects of a pro-life medical practice. And then we'll also have Kyle Duncan of the Beckett Fund there speaking on the legal aspects of a pro-life practice, and especially in light of all the changes coming up.
Sure. All right, well, tell people who might be interested in registering where they can go, and those who might be interested in scholarships, where do they go?
Okay. For the full conference or the one-day conference, anyone can register at www.aafcp.org. And then to obtain a scholarship, all one needs to do is email me at seaton, E-A-T-O-N, at womensnewlife.com, and it's women's with an A.
That's right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shannon, for being with us tonight and for sharing this news with our audience, and for your ministry and what you do to bring about a culture of life. We're always very grateful and welcoming Women's New Life Center here to WLAE to do what we can do to help.
And thank you. We're happy to be here.
And we'll be right back.
The heart of Woman's New Life Center is its outreach to women in unplanned pregnancies, especially those who are seeking an abortion. Our professional counseling services, combined with free ultrasound tests, provide each woman with the nurturing she needs, while also revealing her unborn child to her. For more information about the life-saving work of Woman's New Life Center, call 504-831-3117 or visit womansnewlife.com.
Well, Dr. Paul Waspey, thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
So I'm looking at your accolades. I mean, this could take the whole show, me reading off all these things.
Yeah, don't believe everything you read. Yeah, right.
Well, professor at Georgia State University, also a gifted, talented speaker, going all over the circuit here now, helping out, doing some presentations with Legatus. Also the president of Ethicos. It's a consulting company, all kind of wonderful things. Worked with the FBI lab, worked with Home Depot with their, I guess, the business side of things, Best Buy. Tell us about what's going on.
Yeah, I'm in charge of the human side of business, the cultural side, not what they do, but how they do it, because it really doesn't matter what you do. It matters how you do it. Anybody can say they're a Catholic, anybody can say they're a father, anybody can say they're a lawyer. That's not the hard part. The hard part is focusing on the how you're a father, how you're a Catholic, and how you're a lawyer. So those human issues have taken second place in business for the last 100 years to profits and to financial issues. Smart companies today realize they can no longer do that, and they have to pay attention to the human side of the equation.
I mean, when an employee really takes stock of their employers, like, or the person who you're working for, it really takes consideration of you as a person and not just using you and exploiting you, but really recognizes your dignity, recognizes your needs and your concerns. That plays huge in helping them to boost morale, I'm sure.
Right. Hey, listen, it goes both ways. And according to the Gallup poll, just last week, the Gallup poll said 70% of American workers hate their job or are actively disengaged. Only 30% of people are engaged in their job. Now, this is a competitive advantage for those companies that can get engaged employees. How do you do that? By showing them respect, by encouraging them, by giving them opportunities to train and grow their career. But on the other hand, the best way a CEO or a manager can inculcate that loyalty is acting with trust and integrity.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people hearing this, because like, sure, so it's got to make sense. I mean, it's got to be that those companies that do that are going to profit. But let's take it back. Before we look at profit lines, let's look at our faith. What does the Catholic faith teach us about being in business? And does the faith transfer into business? And
that's an excellent question. And you'd be surprised that Catholic faith doesn't tell us much at all about being in business. You can search the Catechism of the Catholic Church over and over and find very little information
about budgeting.
About budgeting or about taxes, about stimulus, about profit, to help men and women of business, who are also men and women of God, formulate a business plan. Our encyclicals, the patron saint of business. You know who the Catholic patron saint of business is? We all know business. We all know travel and lost causes, and it's Saint Homo Bonus. Right? Nobody's ever heard of this guy. So we don't have examples in our faith of heroic virtue to help men and women of God try and be the very best stewards of their business and industry. But this is changing, and this is a really exciting development. Recently, a document in the last year was produced by the Pontifical Council, and it's called The Vocation of a Business Leader, a Reflection. You can look for 2,000 years in the Catholic history, the treasury of the world's knowledge, as I call it, and you can't find the word vocation and business leader in the same sentence. Because vocation is always seen as this rarefied ideal for a husband, a father, a priest, a religious, right? But business is also a calling, and there is a calling to serve others and to produce a product or a service, to do it the way that Christ would want you to do it. And so the Catholic Church is now seeing this rich repository of resources. 80% of the Catholics in a Mass on a day-to-day, Sunday-to-Sunday are involved in business. We need to harness that. We need to get together and have a conversation about what makes us distinctively Catholic in our business practices. That's going to enhance employee engagement, profitability, and open the gates to heaven.
Amen. So would you say that there's then a disconnect between my faith, like someone's faith, and then the way that they conduct their business?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but of course there is, right? I mean, it's the balkanization.
I mean, that's the challenge,
It's the balkanization of all Catholics to take that Sunday morning and make it a 5, 6, 7 day a week priority in your life, right? So the work-life balance, right? The integration of faith and work. And it doesn't have to be holy water dispensers and crucifixes surrounding the bit. It has
which are great things.
Which are great things, but in a publicly traded company that might not be profitable. Well, it might not even be legal in some cases, but that doesn't mean as Catholics we can't show our... St. Francis said, preach the Bible every day, use words if necessary. So by our actions, if we understand that the free market is free because human beings are created in the likeness and image of God, we have a responsibility to uphold the free market. That means free from vice, it means free from dishonesty, and it means freedom for integrity.
And I guess that's my question, is that, okay, so you have all these variety of businesses and jobs that people can be going into, nurses, doctors, lawyers, police officers, consultants. I mean, at the heart of it, what is it that they need to take away? What is it they need to know at the foundation of this as you build it? Yeah, because I'm sure you talk a lot about this, and I wish we had more time, but tell me, what's at the heart of it?
The heart of it is integrity, personal integrity, to try and build a healthy culture, a culture where right and wrong are clearly differentiated, and human beings can pursue the good of the intellect. This is what Dante called the good of the intellect, because when we are fully engaged intellectually and we have that faith and reason component, then we are free to engage our wit, our discovery, our invention, and our enterprise to create.
Well, what about this? What about if someone has like that moment of compromise where they're thinking, I gotta break this truth at this, and to compromise on this, or I'm not going to get that. What should someone think or do to kind of avoid that, or bigger picture? What's going on?
I'm not saying these are simple issues. They are very complicated issues, and the notion today of businesses, well, I have to do this because everybody else is doing it. I have to manipulate prices, or I have to engage in this kind of slight white lie in order to sell a product because everyone. That's a dangerous, slippery slope, and we need to have models of heroic men and women in business who don't compromise, because once you start down that pathway, well, we've seen the Enrons, we've seen the global crossings, and we've seen the disaster that can happen in corporate America when people put profits above people. When profits trump all other human dignity.
That's exactly right. Now, we're almost out of time. Professor Voss, your beautiful wife, Mary, 5 children, live in Atlanta. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Where can we go for more information to learn? You have a book coming out. Where can we learn more about this?
Go to www.ethikos. That's ETHIKOS.com. It's the Greek word for character, and that's what we're looking for in business. Men and women of character, of arete, of excellence, in order to help them in their company's culture.
Well, Dr. Voss, thank you very much for your time. God bless you in all your presentations while you're here, and your family. God bless you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And we'll be right back on Issues in Faith.
It's happening in schools and schoolyards. A timeless tradition is rekindled with every new class, in every new face. In Louisiana Catholic schools, learning goes beyond textbooks and testing. Students are embracing faith, values, leadership skills, and of course, a classic history of academic excellence. Invest in success. Louisiana Catholic Schools, a class of their own.
The grief and loss resulting from an abortion can be overwhelming. Many women and men need a safe place to heal. The Woman's New Life Center is that place. We treat each woman and man with the utmost respect and dignity. We offer individual counseling and referrals to post-abortion retreats that offer a psychological and spiritual approach to healing. Call 504-831-3117 or visit womansnewlife.com.
For a lot of kids, it's the highlight of the summer, a week or two away from home at camp, just doing fun stuff, meeting new friends, playing outside all day. It's the stuff childhood memories are made of. And on the North Shore, hundreds of kids have been doing just that at Camp Abbey this summer, a place that prides itself on being unplugged for summer fun. Janet Gross has the story.
Hi, this is just a reminder, we have 10 minutes until breakfast.
They're not going to want to miss breakfast, because each day here requires a lot of energy. It's get up and go from start to finish. It's spirit-filled from cheers to chapel. And you never hear those famous kids' words, I'm bored, there's nothing to do.
At home, I get so bored. I get homesick of here. Then I get more homesick of here than I get over there.
They have so much fun. They play from the time they're awake until the time they go to sleep. So first of all, if you ask them, I think first thing they'd probably say is how much fun they have.
Take aim. And fire when ready.
They do all of the regular camp stuff, things kids have been doing at camp for years and years. And just like years ago, although maybe it's different for this generation, they are totally unplugged. No phones, no iPods, no computers. Here, they only have to recharge themselves.
it's just good for kids to be out in nature. It's good for them to just play and to have a simple time during the summer. It's something kids used to be able to do much more easily at home. But even then, it was good for them to come away to camp. But especially now, I think it's real integral that parents make time for kids to get away from everything else in their everyday life and to have just some kid time.
This week away is meant to get them away, but also to bring them closer to God.
You're close to nature and you're close to all the stars and seeing God and what it's really, how you kind of experience them.
As we're taught in our Catholic faith, God is everywhere. God has created everything. And so through the different programs that we've set, through the different itineraries and schedules and stuff like that, there is an element of Christ in everything that happens. And that's the point, that's the structure. That's where our Catholic identity comes from when we have made this camp.
Pharaoh, Pharaoh, whoa, baby, let my people go. Oh.
They have a special SPF here, and it's not a sunscreen strength. It's safe, positive, faithful.
This is a Catholic camp, and I ask those children, we go through the rules, safe, positive, faithful. Before you say anything, if it's not positive and it's not faithful, we don't say it. And that's a great little lesson we all can use before we speak and make sure everything we say is really positive.
Camp Abbey, reopened just last year after some serious renovations, holds 6 one-week sessions over the summer. 3 for boys, 3 for girls.
I tell all the kids, my one job is to keep them safe, to return them to the parents' life they got here. I hope they have a tan. I hope they learned something about their faith. I hope they learned a new game. I hope they met some counselors. That's my dream. But keeping them safe and providing a faithful place for them is just what we do.
And they do it so well, a lot of these kids come back for more than 1 week.
I love camp. It's so fun to be here. I just love it so much. I just can't get away from it.
And already a lot of them are making plans to be here next summer. I'm Janet Gross for Issues and Faith.
The camp has been so successful. They had waiting lists all summer. So plans are to add a week or 2 next year to the schedule.
If you have a question for us or an idea that you'd like to see on air, please write to us at Issues in Faith, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Suite 345, Metairie, Louisiana, 70002, or you can email us at questions@wle.com. Plus, if you miss an episode, you can catch up online at www.archdiocese-no.org.
And that's our program for this evening. For all of us at Issues in Faith, thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week. Hope you join us again soon. Until then, God bless.